What's up, everybody? Welcome to Classic Reddit, where real humans read Reddit content. If you're interested in making these kind of videos, please reach out to us. Check out the end of this video if you want to learn more about that. Now let's get to it. Today's question by Ask Reddit is by Secretariat God Horse. Teachers of Reddit, what is the most disturbing thing that you have heard a student say? One of my students threatened to kill my dog while I was out walking her. This was after he cussed me out, ripped up his work, and disturbed the class. It was his second day. My dad was a Vietnam Marine, and one of his many jobs after that place was teaching 6th grade, all subjects. It turns out he was pretty good with it. This was the early 90s. Occasionally, he would have the parent or older sibling call the house to threaten us for disciplining their kid. I overheard one of these calls when I was 10. Caller, laughing. "I'll come out there and get you, yo dog and your wife and your kid." Dad, very calmly. "We set villages on fire in Vietnam, so we just could kill as they ran outside. Man can run a long way on a fire. Makes them easier to shoot at night." Long pause on the line. Click. I don't think I talked to him for like 2 days after that. He was that one teacher no one messed with after about the 3rd week of class or the first serious parent-teacher confrontation. He was just one of those people that on second glance looked like he'd snatch your tongue out and neatly tuck it into your breast pocket. In retrospect, it's a good thing he left the classroom a few years later. I'm fairly certain someone would have tried to pull off a school shooting and he'd have killed the shooter, or worse, somehow survived doing something truly unfortunate. I make him sound kind of psychotic, but he was very loving and involved and a great father and a good teacher. Inspired a lot of students to do better and a few to become teachers. But there's a whole other side to that man that I don't ask about. I don't think your dad's a nut. Someone threatened his loved ones. He might not want to tell everyone what he did in Vietnam, though. Pretty sure that's a war crime. I mean, it's sad that the Vietnamese are just a prop to his rage here, but that's America, I guess. I knew a couple people like this in school. Wouldn't say they were friends, more like acquaintances. Did you teach English, maths, or science by any chance? I teach all of that and more. I'm the only 8th grade teacher in a small bush school in Alaska. I had a parent tell me about his parents leaving salt around the house. Bizarre, but I didn't connect the dots until they were arrested. Turns out, that was cocaine. At first I thought literally around the house, like some kind of barrier against snail invasion. Oh, so many. The kid came in upset, and we finally got out what the problem was. His mom told him that he caused her to miscarry, and because he was so fucked up, she had a miscarriage. Another kid came to school acting off. By lunchtime, he finally told someone that his dad got arrested the night before. The dad made him take all of his clothes off and beat the shit out of him with an electrical cord. The kid ran outside into the streets of Detroit naked. Thank God a nice older man found him, put a blanket on him, and took him to the police. Dad got arrested, and of course CPS got involved. CPS was looking for a replacement. The kid assumed he would stay with his aunt, but learned that wasn't possible because that guy wasn't his dad. So within a day, kid got the shit beaten out of him, found out his dad wasn't his real dad, and was put into foster care. Kid said something like, "My whole life is over." He was 10. Beat the shit out of him with an electric cord? Oh my god. I just had a flashback at being at a sleepaway camp at age 11 or so. We, the campers, were all strangers before the camp, and one of my cabin mates had terrible night terrors because when her dad wasn't around, her mom would beat her with an electrical cord. I have absolutely no memory of what happened after that. We did have a camp counselor who slept in our cabin, so I'd like to believe it was reported and that poor girl got help. I haven't thought of that in 25 years. Wherever she is out there, I hope she's safe and doing well. F me. I thought for sure this was going to be and then my dad beat the shit out of me with jumper cables guy, but now, the one time I wish that was the case. Seriously, if the aunt wanted to take care of him, despite not being blood related, and the aunt would be able to take care of him, she should be allowed. It would be best for the kid. Stupid system. Behavior kids equals 99% of the time they are suffering from trauma from either parents or someone close to them. Special education kids often equals special education parents. I'm sure CPS said it wasn't possible, but I can understand why they wouldn't let a family with a connection to the kid with the child like that take the child in. Family is deeper than DNA. Of course, CPS could be covering for an aunt who wanted nothing to do with the child because it wasn't blood. While student teaching had a student shout, "You guys want to see the gun in my backpack?" He was trying to joke, but security was cold and the intervention specialist kept all students away from the bag. At first I read it as gum, and I was wondering why the desks get special forces. Yeah, joking about a gun in the US, it would be treated as a threat. My younger brother did that in Heathrow once, in front of 2 DFT officers with machine guns. Oh, assault rifle. People don't have machine guns in the US. Officers never. With a regional accent that is often mistaken for Irish. Yeah. Ooh, epic post by the Blanket Dragon. I have a story related to this. Let me set the scene for you. 6th grade, first floor social studies class at the front of the building. We have a sub, and things are going pretty normally when the intercom turns on. We can't quite hear what it's saying, but it sounds like there's an intruder. In 6th grade, we didn't have lockers because our school was renovated, so we had our stuff with us. We grab our phones and begin doing what any scared kid would do, texting our parents. We're scared, but not freaking out yet, and then the police come. We live in a relatively low crime area, so there were a lot of cars. We begin freaking out, because if there's that many cars, cop cars, it must be serious. Finally, one of the kids gets up and throws a chair at the window. It bounces off, but it gives us an idea, and we begin trying to break the window. Then some guy from the outside comes and begins hitting the window with a piece of wood. Luckily, someone recognizes him as her dad, so we don't try and kill him or anything. Once the window breaks, he tells us to climb out, and we do. Then we sit down on the sidewalk, and the cops come make sure everyone's okay. No one's hurt, so they let us go home. That was one of the most traumatizing moments of my life. Guess why it happened? Some kids were joking about another kid bringing a gun. Cool. Pro tip, don't try and take toy revolvers in your backpack if you're going through airport security. Luckily, this was before 9/11, so it was just a scene. I didn't get arrested. This reminds me of the one time my Russian friend said that he was going to bring a bomb to the school bus. It was obviously a joke, but the very next day they put him under house arrest and had multiple police cars parked all around the school. The US is something different. Yeah, you can't joke about stuff like that. There have been far too many actual real school shootings in the US for people to not take it seriously. I get it, but there are certain things that are off limits from joking. It's become societal unwritten rule that you can't yell fire in a theater or bomb on an airplane. You can't joke about anything regarding school shootings anymore, but especially true in a school or other school property or event. There's just too much bad history, and you can't ever be too sure. All it takes is believing it's a joke one time, and it turns out to be a real event where people, even more upsetting children, get killed. We saw our neighbor die last night, completely deadpan. Me, oh my god, what happened? Are you okay? Them, he was racing his lawnmower and it dragged him to death. It went really fast. Are you okay? You want to talk to the counselor? Nah, we're okay. We've seen it before. Them, twin grade boys in the Ozarks in southern Midwest, USA. But how? Did he fall in front of the lawnmower and it ran him over? Regardless of how it happened, this is one of the most terrifying things for me to imagine. Probably racing as in legit racing, go fast. Kind of like in those vids you see occasionally of folks with their rocket-powered bar stool or whatever. So, modified the rower, but not the seat. Fell off, got a foot cord or something, possibly got chewed up, definitely got dragged. Edit, just gonna add, if the kids have seen it before, there's probably a whole modding scene in their community. Not uncommon for folks living out in the boonies. I thought they got the blades out from racing lawnmowers. The dragging behind the vehicle alone will kill you. Imagine your skin being torn off via asphalt. You're sanded to death. A great post by Sumare. The one year I taught 5th grade, I overheard a boy talking to his friends about how they should corner a female student in the bathroom and gang rape her while someone watched at the door. A couple months later, he wrote a very graphic letter that was passed around class about how my giant boobs were the only reason he came to school, and went into explicit detail of how he wanted to titty fuck me. This was 5th grade. He was 10. How on earth was he aware about these things at 10? I can't imagine that he was exposed to that kind of thing at home. It's sick to hear I'm in primary grades now, and I stick to that. And I've heard some heartbreaking stories, but this was definitely one of the ones that stuck out the most. In 4th grade, there were several boys who kept groping my daughter and saying sexually explicit things to her. I was shocked that boys that age already acted like that, but her teacher wasn't at all surprised. My daughter kept feeling like somehow it was her fault. The school talked to the kids about sexual harassment, but after that, the boys just did it when no one was looking, and said she was lying for attention when she told on them. We switched to online school after that. A kid in my 4th grade class did something similar. The whole grade had to sit down and have a talk with the principal about sexual harassment. I think I was about 8 at the time. My dad is not an armchair therapist kind of person, but when I told him what happened, he told me that boy had all the signs of being a psychopath. At the end of my son's 5th grade year, one of the moms had a big summer kickoff party for the whole class and their parents. We were new to the area, so I thought it was a good opportunity to meet some people. And that's where I learned that one of the boys in class had a porn addiction. Apparently, both of his parents worked pretty late, so he was left alone with the computer and no parental controls. I couldn't believe it. Kids watch porn all the time, and parental controls aren't going to help. I say this because I was about 8 when I heard about porn for the first time. I googled it on my iPad and got hit with controls. I just guessed the password and went on my merry way. Kids watch porn. A lot. Even 5th graders. I know because I'm a former 5th grader. Well, depending on how long ago this was, the obvious answer is the internet. I'd accidentally stumbled upon hardcore porn in 2nd grade. It's a serious problem when parents just let their kids on the internet with no restrictions or monitoring at all. In this case, any kid with any amount of tech skills can click a few things, and something as email as female privates leads them to pussies, titties, and a whole plethora of sexual things. Source: me. Personal experience. Luckily, I wasn't a complete idiot, and I knew that you weren't supposed to know about these things, so I didn't talk about them in front of a teacher. I feel like kids are underestimated a lot somehow. I would honestly say that most 10-year-old boys know what titty fucking and gang rape is. The internet exists. This reminds me of the pervert kid in my primary school. He used to try putting his dick in girls' mouths on the playing field by pinning them and getting it out. At the time, we kids didn't pay much attention, but looking back, he was basically full-on trying to rape girls at every chance he got at recess. Coming from a kid whose friends exposed her to sexuality at a young age, from the sight, it was them finding things they shouldn't have. Their parents completely neglected them both, and they just kind of searched for things out of curiosity with no one to ask. I was exposed to it because I was their best friend, and to say the least, it fucked me up. In kindergarten, another kindergartner sexually assaulted me. I tried to reach out to an aide who watched over us at lunch, but they just shrugged it off and told me she couldn't do anything about it, that I had to tell a teacher. I never did, and nothing came out of it. So I forgot about it until very recently when it came up again in counseling. It was so heartbreaking for me to realize that my abuser was a victim himself. How else could he know what he was doing was wrong? I have a feeling you don't have as much finesse as you think you do. Would have been interesting if you called him out on how he's 10 and asked if he could even get a boner, let alone fitting it between your breasts. That would definitely deflate his ego to the size of a peen. I was still bartending at night during that time, and this is exactly how I would have spoke to a drunk adult who said that stuff. But if he's a kid, I don't know how to respond. I'm pretty sure I would just stand in silence for a while before telling him to leave. And this is why we don't teach 5th graders about sex education. We do. This is why we should. He clearly didn't learn about sex in a controlled or normal environment. This is definitely not the stuff taught in sex ed, dude. Sex ed is necessary to lower teen pregnancies and STD rates. Yeah, that's why we had 1 year where all it was watching video talk about how bad sex is. Look, I know most school sex ed programs are horrible, but that doesn't mean we should abolish it altogether. That's simply illogical. Instead, we should reform it. They know about it anyways. It's better to inform them than think sex is sleeping naked together. Yeah, we should hell the end of 5th grade wasn't in time. I had my first nocturnal emission halfway through 5th grade and was freaked out because I didn't even know what puberty was by then. No, this is why you need to monitor your child's internet use. This is clearly the result of hardcore porn consumption at a young age. Are your brain cells for decoration? This is clearly a result of lack of sex education, a lack of teaching consent, lack of boundaries, lack of parenting, and lack of respect. He got the shit from porn, or from his parents. 5th graders need sex ed because of how close they are to puberty, if they're not already going through it. It helps them feel normal about their bodies and to understand consent and what sexual harassment is, so they can report it and know not to do it to other people. That his abuser used to stuck socks in his mouth while he beat them up so he couldn't scream. In response to teachers of Reddit, what's the most disturbing thing you've heard a student say? My mother used to do this to my brother and I at night. She would come home into one of our rooms and stuff cloth inside one of her mouths while we were asleep. So we would wake up. She would start hitting us until she got tired or bored. She did the cloth sock thing, so whoever she chose to pick on couldn't make enough noise to wake the other kid up. Because if the other woke up, we would run to each other's rescue, and she'd have to fight both of us off. Well, that was harsh. Thanks for watching, everybody. If you want to make videos with this kind of content, please reach out to us. We are making software where you can screen record as you explore the internet and read and respond to stuff that you're interested in reading, starting with Reddit. Thanks for watching, everybody. If you want to send us an email, set up a video call, please go to our About page on this YouTube channel, do the CAPTCHA code, get our email address, and say hello. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Ciao.